Did the NBA blow it with their new CBA? One restriction in particular that nobody is talking enough about, and it could cripple the NBA's trade market. I'm Trevor Lane. Make sure you subscribe right here to the channel. So the NBA created their new CBA, collective bargaining agreement, with a goal in mind. They wanted to prevent teams from being able to spend their way into contention, specifically to punish teams like the Golden State Warriors, the LA Clippers, teams that have these incredibly high payrolls that were just continuing to foot the bill. Now, the NBA put in a lot of restrictions in the new collective bargaining agreement to try to punish those teams. For example, creating 2 salary tiers, and there would be progressive punishments if you do exceed those tiers. Things like not being able to trade a draft pick 7 years out, things like not being able to use certain exceptions, or being able to aggregate players in a trade. We'll throw those up on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about with all these restrictions. But there's one in particular that I think we are not paying enough attention to, and that is a first-tier apron restriction. The first-tier apron coming in at $179 million, right around that range currently, and this would impact 10 teams in the NBA right now that are either at that number, 179 million, or project to be above that number once they bring back some of their own free agents. The restriction that I'm talking about is that you can only take back less money in a trade. You can take back no more than 100% of the value that you are sending out. So what that really means, you can't absorb any money in a trade if you are at or above $179 million. What that turns into is that these 10 teams effectively can't trade with each other. Here's the teams. It's the Phoenix Suns, Minnesota Timberwolves, Boston Celtics, Denver Nuggets, Milwaukee Bucks, Miami Heat, Los Angeles Lakers, Golden State Warriors, Memphis Grizzlies, and LA Clippers. Now, that is not a static list. These teams can make moves to drop below that number if they so choose. But think about this. 10 teams effectively can't trade with each other, because if, say, the Lakers were to trade with the Suns, well, one of them is taking back more salary in the trade. It's highly unlikely that you're going to find 2 players that make the exact same amount of money. So because of this new rule, they would not be able to trade with each other. Sure, they could trade draft picks, but any players with salaries, they would not be able to trade with each other. Now, this is an NBA who dominates the offseason compared to other leagues. Yes, the NFL dominates ratings. There's no question there. And the NFL now encroaching onto Christmas Day, that's cause for concern for the NBA. The advantage that the NBA has over the NFL right now, while the NFL crushes the NBA in ratings, the NBA dominates social media. You look at all the social accounts, the NBA is number 1, ahead of the NFL by far. Why is that? Part of it is because of the incredible offseason that the NBA has, with so much player movement, so much trade activity, so many rumors, things like that. It keeps the NBA constantly at the top of that 24-hour news cycle. So if 10 teams now, a third of the NBA currently, cannot trade with each other, does that cut down some of that news cycle that the NBA enjoys? And does that restrict the ability for teams to build out their rosters? I think it's a dangerous game the NBA is playing here. Look, it's an admirable goal to make sure that money doesn't equal championships. They want to make sure that teams still have a chance to win, even if they don't commit to spending millions upon millions upon millions of dollars over the cap. And we've talked about this on a recent video, that what they want is the life cycle of a team. They don't want certain teams just spending and spending and spending in order to stay at the top. They want those teams to drop back down so that teams on the bottom can work their way back up. They want the fans of those teams to be engaged throughout the season and feel like they have a legitimate shot. Again, a noble goal, but I think they've gone too far in restricting player movement. Player movement, something that the league enjoys and something that helps fuel their social footprint and the overall popularity of the league. Again, as it sits right now, you've got 10 teams that essentially can't trade with each other. And I think that is cause for concern heading into this NBA offseason. This will be the first season that this restriction is in place, and we'll be keeping a real close eye on whether or not this does limit player movement via the trade market. We're already seeing the free agency landscape. It's not looking great. We're not seeing as many players move via free agency. What that's doing, though, is it's fueling the trade market. I don't think putting the brakes on that trade market is a good idea for the NBA right now. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you agree with me? Do you think the NBA went too far by making it so that teams over that first-tier apron effectively can't trade with each other? Let me know in the comment section, and don't forget, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications.